We are starting with the Janelle Grant lawsuit, in which she says she was trafficked by Vince McMahon to a former UFC heavyweight champion, later identified as Brock Lesnar. In response, WWE pulled Lesnar from all plans, including the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber events, as well as WWE 2K24, fearing a backlash from fans if he was used. Now though, it appears WWE has had a change of heart, as Lesnar was recently re-added to the WWE's roster on their website, and the company could go much further than that. On Wrestling Observer Live, Bryan Alvarez said that there have been movements within WWE to bring Lesnar back, with his re-addition to the roster being a sign of this. Alvarez made it clear that this does not guarantee that Lesnar will return to TV, and that he personally thinks it's a bad idea, but there have been inquiries in WWE about the idea. With WrestleMania less than a month away, WWE will have to move fast if they want the Beast at the Showcase of the Immortals, but is this a good idea? Let us know your thoughts below. Over to NXT, and in a tag team qualifier, Bronco Nima and Lucian Price of OTM couldn't put their match with the LWO away, despite taking multiple shortcuts from bell to bell. These shortcuts included OTM attacking LWO during their entrance, and Scripps attacking the faces multiple times behind the referee's back. Despite this, Joaquin Wilde hit an assisted springboard 450 splash on Nima for the win, and despite a lack of chemistry between the teams, Wilde and Cruz del Toro made this work. This was a solid opener that saw Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin taunt the LWO from the stage after the match, and the LWO winning was certainly the right call. The group is immensely talented, but seemingly couldn't buy a win in the last year, but despite this week's victory, it's unlikely that the LWO will end up challenging the War Dogs. Instead, it's likely that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson will win this whole thing to determine the next challengers for the NXT tag titles, as they seem to have the inside track. However, a win could still help them stay relevant, while SmackDown focuses heavily on everyone involved in LWO vs Legado, except Wilde and Del Toro. Roxanne Perez explained that she attacked Lyra Valkyria the previous week because the NXT Women's Champion ignored her after she was screwed out of her title shot. The crowd started booing, but there were some that supported Perez over her justified heel promo, and to be fair, she's the obvious rightful contender, heel turn or not. Perez demanded Ava award her the NXT Women's title, but before the NXT GM could announce anything, Tatum Paxley jumped from the crowd and officials had to restrain her. This was a weirdly paced segment despite a strong promo from Perez, and while she has always been held back because of her mic skills, she sounded confident and sincere in her heel work. However, this could have been sped up a bit, especially given how rushed the ending felt, and NXT is likely delaying a formal announcement for Stand and Deliver until next week. In the meantime, Perez vs Paxley could be a fun one, especially if the two lean into the hatred between them that was seen this week. In a unique segment, Ilja Dragunov found Tony D'Angelo at his restaurant to warn him that he would never lose his NXT championship, and the family dragged Dragunov into a trunk. D'Angelo took the champion to a bridge, showing the power he has over the Mad Dragon, before leaving Dragunov to walk home. Shawn Spears targeted Ridge Holland from the opening bell of their match, demanding he let out his anger, which Holland did once Spears brought up the ex-rugby star's wife. The big man chokeslammed him through the announce table before grabbing Spears' steel chair that the ref took away, and the heel took advantage and hit a C4 on said chair for the win. This was a melodramatic battle that tried a little too hard to sell its story, but both veterans showed their talent with the smooth, consistent action throughout. Spears especially brings an in-ring consistency that can benefit much of the NXT roster, and he will be a major aid to the younger stars once he's moved past this Holland feud. The ending was bad, as Vic Joseph tried to sell the chair shot as inadvertent, which was why the referee did not call for a disqualification, and at best, it continued to make Holland look dumb. We've got some unfortunate news regarding AEW's CJ Perry and Miro, as the couple have separated following 7 years of marriage. TMZ Sports was the first to learn of their separation, and CJ Perry would later confirm the split, stating that she and Miro are no longer involved by stating, "Miro and I have made the difficult decision to separate after many wonderful years together, and have decided to move on as friends and hopefully on-screen characters somewhere down the road." The couple initially started dating in WWE NXT, and their engagement in late 2015 would ultimately disrupt WWE's on-screen plans at the time. When the couple got engaged, Perry, aka Lana, was in an on-screen romance with Dolph Ziggler, while Miro, aka Rusev, was close with Summer Rae after having a breakup from Lana. News of their engagement was, ironically, also broke by TMZ, and the couple officially tied the knot in 2016, which was covered on Total Divas. Despite the end of their marriage, both CJ Perry and Miro expressed their intention to maintain a friendly connection and continue working together even after the separation. TMZ adds that the decision to split did not come from conflicts, fights, or instances of infidelity, but rather the couple acknowledged that they had gradually drifted apart over the years. CJ Perry officially joined AEW during the All Out event in September, marking her entry into the promotion, and she was involved in an angle against her husband at the time. The two were later reunited at AEW World's End, where Perry betrayed Andrade El Idolo to assist Miro in securing a victory, but both have been absent from AEW programming since then. With Perry and Miro no longer a couple, it'll be interesting to see if the pair continue to be used on AEW TV together, as they've made it clear they're open for working together. This has proven to be a huge talking point among wrestling fans, and unfortunately, there have been some who have used this to troll Perry. On Twitter, Perry spoke about how severely impacted her mental health is whenever she goes on social media, adding that it's no wonder she stays off the platform for the most part. It's sad to see any long-term relationship end, and this is no different, and we're hoping that Perry and Miro are okay and can look back on the good times of their 7 years of marriage. On this week's Raw, Sami Zayn earned a shot at Gunther for WrestleMania when he won an intense 6-man gauntlet match with an Intercontinental title opportunity up for grabs. Zayn outlasted Chad Gable, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bronson Reed, JD McDonough, and Ricochet, but this match originally had different plans. Fightful Select reports that the original sequence would have seen Reed beat Ricochet before losing to Zayn, who'd then beat Reed, Nakamura, and JD to set up the finals with Chad Gable. Instead, fans got Ricochet beating McDonough before losing to Reed, who was defeated by Zayn, who would also go on to secure wins over Nakamura and Gable. It's unclear why this change was made, or indeed if WWE ever had Gable winning over Zayn in their original plans, as Fightful does not clarify which superstar was booked to win it first. Sami Zayn is going to WrestleMania 40, but many believe Gable should have won this crucial gauntlet match, and who do you think should be the one facing Gunther next month? After a shaky return to WWE just over a month ago, The Rock has been excelling as a heel and as part of the Bloodline in a move that has put him at odds with Cody Rhodes. It was the We Want Cody movement that led WWE to change course and put Rock vs. Roman Reigns on ice, but the Great One isn't broken up about this change. During his appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Rock briefly discussed his WWE heel turn and why he feels it was the right move given the circumstances. He said, "It's the best to go back to WWE in this Rock 10.0 version where I can become a heel and say the things that people want to say." With weeks to go until WrestleMania, there's plenty more heel work we can expect to see from The Rock, including a Rock concert, according to recent reports. The fact that WWE felt they had to turn one of the biggest names in entertainment heel is a testament to the passion of Cody's fans, and we'll have to see what's next from the Brahma Bull. As Bryan Danielson explained in 2023, he is currently embarking on his final 12 months as a full-time wrestler, and many hope to see him win the AEW World title in that time. Bryan's been with AEW for 2.5 years now and is yet to hold the most coveted title in AEW, but becoming champion isn't top of his list. During a South by Southwest 2024 panel, Danielson reaffirmed his stance on not pursuing a championship title in AEW and explained why, saying, "I've had some people ask me or say things to me like, 'Oh, Bryan, you should be champion,' or 'you should have been champion,' or 'you should have this,' or 'you should have that,' and the reality is, to me, no, the champions that we had have been great. Hangman Adam Page was a great champion, MJF was a great champion, and it elevated these younger people to where now these people are stars, and you put Hangman on TV now and he draws a rating. You put MJF on TV, he draws a rating. It would be easy to just take stars of the past and make them your champion and make them your top guy. That's the easy way. It's much harder to take somebody like MJF, who hadn't been on national television, and turn him into a star that draws ratings. That was my bigger goal, was to transfer stardom from one generation to another." Bryan Danielson has a litany of great matches and titles to his name, and while many would love to see him win the big one in AEW, that just isn't the plan for the American Dragon. Back to NXT, and with the North American title on the line, Brooks Jensen held on in a physical battle with Femi, all while Josh Briggs tried to hype up his friends at ringside. It seems that only served to motivate the cocky Femi, who hit a pair of power bombs for the win in what was essentially an extended squash, though a solid one at that. Jensen does not quite have the fiery babyface act down, so it was hard to get invested in his short-lived comebacks, but Femi's pure power is constantly impressive. This was a rare time on NXT television where the match probably should have been shorter than it was, as Jensen never had a chance, and the fans knew it all along. Instead, a match at Stand and Deliver between Femi and Josh Briggs seems more likely in what would be a big-time power matchup that could steal the show. With that said, Dijak has also teased challenging Femi, so the plan could also be a triple threat, and either way, the contest is certain to be hard-hitting and memorable. Mr. Stone threw his jacket at Lexis King before attacking him, but that was the only time Von Wagner's manager had an edge in this match. King defeated Stone with the coronation, and post-match, Wagner ran out to carry Stone away before King could hurt him anymore, and this was the expected squash match as promised. Stone should not be a serious threat to King at this stage of his career, and he bumped clean for the heel and made him look good ahead of a likely rematch with Wagner. It'll be interesting to see how this goes, as the big man should not lose momentum by going 50-50 with King, and a strong showing that puts Wagner back in the winner's circle would work. In a match with high stakes, Arianna Grace hit Gigi Dolin with a low blow, but when Dolin responded with one of her own, the referee caught it and disqualified her. This was a non-finish that actually felt appropriate for Grace's character, and now Dolin will have to learn to be a proper lady in what's bound to be some entertaining skits. Kiana James and Izzi Dame defeated Thea Hale and Fallon Henley, and after the match, Hale declared that the old Thea was back and she was done with Jane and Jasmine Nix's drama. This was a solid tag team match, showcasing the growing depth of NXT's women's tag team division in one of the tightest booked segments we've seen for the women in some time. In an intense promo, Trick Williams told Carmelo Hayes that he was not on Trick's level after what he did and challenged Melo to a match, only to be interrupted by Meta-4. The faction mocked him, with Noam Dar wanting to get momentum back by taking Trick's hype, and after challenging him to a match for next week, a fight broke out. This ended with Trick and Lash Legend locking lips in a bizarre end to the show, despite the efforts of one Mr. Williams. His passionate promo on Melo was the highlight of the night, but Meta-4's involvement did not feel worthy of closing out the show. Instead, this felt more like an opening segment setting up the main event for the same show, and Dar just doesn't have the credibility to come off as a serious threat to Trick right now. The Trick and Legend connection has serious potential if NXT goes down that route though, and we're intrigued to see where that goes. And that was this week's NXT, which delivered a night of fine action, mixed with passionate, if not awkwardly placed, promos. All in all, this was a show that could have been much better from a production standpoint, but props to Trick and Roxanne for cutting career-defining promos. With that said, one went too short and the other went too long, with awkward interruptions, showing there's still some development from the production side. Shawn Spears vs. Ridge Holland and LWO vs. OTM were a pair of fine matches, but hardly up to the billing of opener and closer for NXT. The best part of the night was a mix of solid wrestling and storytelling, as Thea Hale found her spark again while tagging with Fallon Henley. Hopefully, this will put her back into the title picture alongside Henley after Stand and Deliver, and NXT really needs to step up on the road to their next big event. There is no more time for filler episodes in setting up the biggest show of the Gold Brand's year, a fact that seems to have been forgotten with this week's episode. This was certainly a stacked episode of NXT, but the biggest star at the show opted to keep out of the limelight, though that proved easier said than done. As a photo making the rounds online shows, CM Punk was at this week's NXT and could be seen sitting on the hard cam side. This marks Punk's first WWE TV appearance, albeit an indirect one, in 43 days, with his previous appearance being on the January 29th Raw. Punk is continuing to heal from his torn triceps injury, and while he's got big plans for his eventual Raw return, it's cool to see Punk take an interest in the stars of NXT. In January 2023, Marvin Jackson filed a lawsuit against WWE, alleging that he had suffered a hearing loss and other issues due to the pyrotechnics when he attended WrestleMania 38. Jackson has argued that since he was gifted a seat for the show, he did not agree to the various terms and conditions when attending a WWE event that fans are presented with upon purchasing a ticket. Jackson's lawsuit requested a jury trial and was seeking monetary relief of more than $1 million, but this case was eventually thrown out. Jackson has since appealed, and now the U.S. Court of Appeals upheld the verdict, supporting WWE's argument that Jackson's claims should be resolved through arbitration. It remains to be seen what form this arbitration takes, but Marvin Jackson certainly won't be getting $1 million from WWE. Now, John Cena has made no secret that his wrestling career is coming to an end, and the 16-time world champion knows it's coming soon. Cena has previously said that he'd like his final match to be in London, England, and he's now given a definitive time as to when his retirement will be, as he told Kelly Clarkson, "50 is my absolute line in the sand. I would like to try and do it before that, but at 50, I'm just gonna tweet out, peace out, see ya. That's it, I'm good. I was very much driven where WWE was my passion 24/7, and I'm grateful. I've grown, and there's a lot of other avenues I'm curious about in life. Being a great husband and partner is one of those. I just want to try to do what I can in those years." Cena is currently 47 and will turn 50 on April 23, 2026, so we know that we will have seen him for the last time in the ring by then. After decades of success in WWE, it'll be strange that Cena's career will be spoken of in the past tense, and what do you make of John knowing exactly when he's done in the ring? SummerSlam news now, as the biggest party of the summer is coming to Cleveland, Ohio on August 3rd, an announcement that was made on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast. The reigning US champion is a Cleveland native and obviously wants to be on the show, and we'll have to see what card takes place in the Forest City this August. The last time fans saw Anthony Henry in an AEW ring, it was during the January 19th episode of Rampage, and now it may be some time before fans see the Workhorseman again. Taking to Twitter, Henry shared that during his most recent match for Deadlock Pro Wrestling, he suffered a broken jaw during his DPW national title match with Brian Keith. A swift knee strike broke the jaw of Henry, who said that because of the injury, the Workhorseman will not be part of the AEW World Tag Team title tournament. In a second tweet, Henry said that he's never had an injury like this, and he's afraid that this will seriously derail plans for himself and JD Drake, adding that he may be absent for a while. This broken jaw is a serious setback, and hopefully Henry is able to make a full recovery, and we're sending him our best wishes at this unfortunate time.